wish you all the आपके सारे विघ्न निकल जाएं और इस साल you get everything that you desire. And as a design thinking practitioner, I always wish that everyone can understand this beautiful methodology and implement this in their lives. All right, so welcome to the design thinking 1 hour webinar. It's mostly like a sprint, and because it's a sprint, you will see me very excited and I'll be rushing through. So kahin pe bhi aapko kuch bhi samajh na aaye, if you feel that you want to ask a question, if you feel that you're missing out on something, park that question, because we will be taking all your questions at the end. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि एक सवाल आता है, but by the time we go through, वो सवाल का जवाब आपको ऑटोमेटिकली मिल जाएगा. अगर नहीं मिलता, by the end of the day, we will be able to give you your answers. All right, so that is something that we're going to do. And to just take you or give you a small snapshot of what Dr. Jory actually spoke about, is that you are in safe hands. And why you are in safe hands is because of this very, very small slide, which helps you to understand my little journey. Of course, I can't encapsulate everything on a slide, but I tried and gave you some highlights of my journey. And this is why you should be believing कि आपको मैं आज जो भी बताने वाला हूं is coming from, one, talking to people live on the field, two, handholding people through their design thinking journeys, and three, seeing results after implementing the design thinking pieces. So whatever I'm going to bring to you is everything is coming from experience. All right. Some clients I can take my names, but there are some clients which I cannot take the names because they did not allow me to. So please pardon me if there are some clients wherein you cannot see the names when we show you the case studies. All right. So this is a small snapshot about me. Very quickly, to understand how many organizations have really gone through the design thinking journey. This is just a few. And by a few, I really mean very few, because a slide cannot really take all the companies who have done it. Hundreds of companies have actually gone through this entire procedure, and when they've gone through this procedure, they understand that design thinking is a very beautiful concept. Now the question that many people ask me is, if this is such a life-changing methodology, itna tum tareef kar rahe ho uski, then why does it work only in some places and why does it not work in some places? And for that, we are going to do something which is going to excite you. All right. This is where we are going to start off with the first quiz for the day. All right. I want you to join this particular link, and don't worry about the cybersecurity. It's a very safe link. You can join this link any point in time. If you move out of the quiz, or if you are, if you are having a problem with your internet, if you come out of that quiz, you can join back again using the same link. All right. So for those people who have just joined in, I'm going to share the link again. Please click on this particular link. Use the Chrome browser, because this particular tool specifically works best with the Chrome browser. I am going to share my screen because you are going to see the leaderboard. Now, in the leaderboard, you will only see the top 10. So if you don't see your name, don't be surprised. There are only 10 names that typically come in the leaderboard, and the top 5 winners are in for a surprise. They're in for a treat. What is that surprise? What is that treat? We will let you know as soon as you win. All right. We're going to give you 30 seconds to join in, because some people may have a slow internet connection. And by the time people join in, if you are unable to join through the link, please go to www.menti.com and use the code 36387152. Go to www.menti.com, use the code 36387152. All right. It's going to be a very exciting journey, because I'm going to bust all the myths about design thinking through this quiz. ऐसे ही बात करना थोड़ा सा boring हो जाता है, and especially in the evenings, on a Saturday evening, when it's the time to Netflix and chill, I understand that you want to be in that zone. So इसलिए थोड़ा सा competitive spirit लाते हैं. Let's teach you design thinking through a quiz. All right, let's see how many people have joined in so that we get an idea of how many people are in. We have around, wow, not bad. We have around 23 people who have joined in, but I can see a lot of participants here. So please click on the link, join the link, because you are in for an absolute treat. There is 57 participants here. So, if you remove me, Dr. Jory, and Money, you still have more than 50 participants in. So I'm going to give you last 15 seconds, and then we're going to start because we don't really have that much of time. All right. So there are going to be around 15 questions. All right, 15 questions. You get 15 seconds to answer. Remember, the faster you answer and the more accurate you answer, you get points according to that, and you will be able to see the leaderboard. So answer fast, answer accurate. You get only 15 seconds to answer. All right. So शुरू करते हैं with our quiz for the design thinking myths and facts. All right. So here we go with the first question. All right. Here's question number 1. Design thinking can be only used to create new products. So this is something that people keep checking with me as to, can design thinking be really used for different products, or is it used for services? What is it really? All right, and time's up. Like I said, you only get 15 seconds to answer. Oh yes, it's an absolute myth. Design thinking can not only be used for creating new products, but it can also be used to, add on to your existing products and services. You can also be using it for creating new service protocols. You can use it for anything that you want to. So it is indeed a myth. It is not only used to create new products. All right, so 26 people have given the right answer. Right now, the top 5 are Priyank, Pooja, Kusum, Megha, and Sunil. So these are the 5 people who are in the top 5 positions at this point in time. All right, let's look at the next question. The first one was easy. This is also a little easy. आपने पहले slide पे ध्यान दिया होगा, then it would have been understood. Design thinking is not about what it looks like, but about how it works. So design thinking is about, not about what it looks like, but about how it works. All right, please do not reveal the answers in the chat. Please come to the quiz, join us in the quiz. It's going to be fun. Yes, indeed, a design thinking. Many people think that design thinking is about the final product, the final design. It's about, how the product looks like or how your service looks like. And that is what it is about. But no, design thinking is not about that. It is actually about, it is actually about how the entire process works. And that is how you will be able to understand this particular piece. All right. Okay, awesome. Let's look at the leaderboard now. Let's see if the leaderboard has changed. All right, so these are the people who have given the right answers, and we're going to see a small change in the leaderboard because Megha is the fastest. So Megha has moved up. Sunil, Deepak, Akshit, and Meghna are in the top 5 positions. All right, let's look at the next myth or fact. Question 3 of 15. Design thinking produces faster results in the short term. So if I'm implementing design thinking, I will get faster results in the short term. Is it a myth or a fact? And time's up. Okay, now this is a huge myth that people have. While design thinking gives you faster results in terms of the process implementation, while it gives you faster innovation results in the longer term, in the short term, you may see that you may not get results as you expect them to be, because you may be implementing this for the first time, and it may be a possibility that you may have to rework on something. So design thinking does not produce faster results in the short term. Once you have set the process, once the process is set, it becomes then easier for you to implement these design thinking methodologies, which make your life very, very easy. After about a year or so, you will start getting faster results if it is implemented properly, but it does not give you faster results in the short term. In the long term, it does give you faster results. All right, so these are the people who've given the right answer. And we're going to say change in the leaderboard. It's Megha, Jaya, Uma, Johnson, and Azza who are in the top 5 positions this point in time. All right, let's look at the next question. This is question 4 of 15. Design thinking as a methodology is human-centric. So we talk about processes, we talk about policies, we talk about things. Is this human-centric? This is fairly easy, I know. Like, bro, come on, what kind of question is this? All right, okay. But see, this is why this question is important. Design thinking as a methodology revolves around the user. Everything that happens in design thinking is people oriented. It is user oriented. So if you talk about benchmarking processes, benchmarking data, data analysis, all of that comes in. But everything revolves around the user. So it's more contextual in nature rather than conceptual. All right. So that is the difference between design thinking and any other process or methodology per se. So the human is always in the center when it comes to design thinking. All right, so these are the people who've given the right answers, and we're going to see a change in the leaderboard again. So it's Megha, Uma, Johnson, Azza, and Venkat Raman, who are in the top 5 at this point in time. All right, let's look at question number 5. Design thinking is a step-by-step process. So you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Okay, and time's up. Wow, and 4 of you are absolutely right. It is not a step-by-step process. This is a huge, absolutely huge myth in everyone's mind. Oh, Growth, come on. I have Googled it. I've gone to these websites. How can you defy Google? Google says there is step 1, which is empathize, step 2, which is define, step 3, which is ideate, step 4, which is prototype, and step 5, which is test. You are wrong, your quiz is wrong, Google is right. But no, that is not a fact. Design thinking is more of an iterative process. So there is also a step 0, there's also a step 7, there's also a step 8. You keep going up and up and down, up and down, up and down. So from step 1, you move to 2, to 3, again you go to 2, you move to 4, 4, again you go back to 1, say 3. It all is very contextual, and that is where design thinking is more of an iterative process. I'm going to show you an infographic after this quiz, which will help you to understand why design thinking is not just a step-by-step process. Yes, initially you may require it to be step-by-step, but it's not necessary that it's always a step-by-step process. It's more of a cyclical or a spiral-bound iterative process. That's how it is. All right, so Jaya has moved back to number 2. So it's Megha, Jaya, Uma, Johnson, and Azza who are in the top 5 positions. All right, awesome. Busting some great myths about design thinking here. All right, design thinking is only for the creative types. So if I'm not creative, you know what, design thinking is not for me. Irrespective of how much ever training you give me, it's not going to be my baby. I'm not creative. Design thinking is not for me. All right, and time's up. And you're absolutely right. There is nothing about saying whether I'm creative, whether I'm not creative. Design thinking is open for all. It helps you to identify. There are tools, there are techniques, there are frameworks which help you to bring in whatever creativity you have and try and implement that in the design thinking methodology. So it's not only for the creative types, it is for, it goes beyond just creativity. And that is the beauty of design thinking. All right, with that, the top 5 remain the same. All right, let's look at the 7th question. Question 7 of 15. Design thinking is just another tool for innovation and problem solving. You go blah, blah about design thinking and this and that. Trainers use a lot of jargons. This is only for problem solving and innovation. Or kuch nahi. All right, and time's up. And it is a myth. See, design thinking is not a tool. Let's clarify that right now. Design thinking is a methodology which has a lot of tools And innovation and problem solving is a part of design thinking. As a matter of fact, there is research which is called design research methodologies, and then there are exploratory frameworks which go beyond just innovation and problem solving. Yes, innovation and problem solving happen by chance or is a part of the process, but design thinking is not a tool. There are tools which are a part of the design thinking process, and you as a designer, you think like a designer and then use those tools in order to see whether you're innovating, whether you're problem solving, or whether you're doing something which is completely different, which is also research oriented. So there are many PhDs who come to me and say, can we use design thinking in research? And I say, hell yeah, you can. It's a beautiful way to do research when you use something called as DRM, that is design research methodologies. All right. So Megha, Jaya, Uma, Johnson, and Aza are in the top 5, and Johnson was the fastest here. All right. This is question 8 of 15. Design thinking does not require an innovation lab or an incubator lab. Oh, you talk about innovation, you talk about problem solving. You need an innovation lab. Without a lab, how will we think? What do you expect us to do? ऐसे निकलेगा क्या innovation? All right, and time's up. And it is indeed a fact. Many companies have stopped using design thinking, or they don't start because they feel that it requires an innovation lab or an incubator lab where people need to come in, they need to brainstorm. Once they brainstorm, only then can they apply design thinking. But that's not true. You can actually, sitting there right now, you can start thinking of design thinking. And the first example that I'm going to give you about my weight loss journey, you will understand as to how I use design thinking for reducing my weight, and you can start thinking about design thinking right here, right now, sitting in front of your screen. All right, so these are the people who have given the right answers. And we're going to see change in the leaderboard. Johnson is going to move up. Aza is at 4 and Uma is at 5, with Megha and Jaya topping the charts. All right, this is question 9 of 15. Design thinking increases the risk of failure. Okay, so Bruhad is saying short term, it's not going to work. 1 year se upar time lagega, which means we're going to fail, right? If it doesn't work, we're going to lose money. We're going to lose a lot of investment that we make in terms of time, in terms of money. All right. Yes, it is indeed a myth. As a matter of fact, design thinking decreases the risk of failure because you're spending a lot of time right at the beginning in order to adapt to the VUCA environment. With the VUCA environment in, with the vulnerability, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in, it is very difficult for you to gauge, how is it that we can speculate the future? And this is where design thinking helps you. It helps you to identify areas which will help you to, it will help you gauge what will happen in the future a little more than with the traditional critical thinking or other rational thinking techniques, right? Excellent. So these are the top 5 at this point in time. Let's move to the next question very quickly. And that's question 10 of 15. Design thinking suits all your products or services. Bro, now this is good. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to help me. Whether it's an insurance product, whether I'm in HR, whether I'm in, entrepreneurship, whether I'm a freelancer, it's going to help me a lot. All right. And this is a myth. Okay. Now, design thinking is a methodology. You got to pick and choose which is the problem statement that you are trying to gauge. It may not be suitable for all your products and services. Some parts of design thinking, let's say step 3, step 4, or step 2, may come to your rescue, but the entire design thinking methodology may not be good for all your products or services. It's not about the function that you are in. I'm talking about products or services. There are some products and services which only require problem-solving techniques. You don't need to really empathize with the user. Let's say, for example, if you want to really, change an assembly line kind of a thing, you may not want to go to the user every now and then. You can just use, Six Sigma techniques and solve that problem. So design thinking as a complete methodology may not suit all your products and services, but what design thinking will do is it will equip you with so many tools, so many techniques, so many frameworks that you can actually pick and choose which is actually applicable for your product or service. All right. So it's not necessary that you have to go through the entire design thinking process over and over again, because you may have to get instant solutions. So that is where you can only use, let's say, step 3 or let's say step 4. So it's a myth that it is suitable to all your products and services. You have to choose your battles. It cannot be that you use it for everything. So choose where to do it. And that's what we teach you in the practitioner program as well. How to identify that which product or service will benefit from this particular piece. All right, so Priyanka has moved up, but the top 5 are still the same. And guys, let's give Takkar to top 5. All right, question number 11. All right, design thinking works in professional as well as personal life. That right now you said that it's not suitable for all your products and services. How do I trust you whether it's going to work in professional or personal life as well? Well, let's see. All right, and time's up. Yes, of course, I'm going to give you my weight loss journey. I gave this away, so I'm not going to explain this, but it does work in your personal life as well. It's all about understanding how you rephrase or reframe your problem statement. All right, so that's how it is, and the top 5 still remain the same. No, actually, Priyanka has moved to the 5th position. Awesome, Priyanka is giving Takkar to the top 4. All right, guys, question 12 of 15. Design thinking is a cure for all your organization problems. Wow, bro, this is so exciting. You teach us design thinking, and we are going to take this organization to the next level. हम छप्पर फाड़ देंगे organization का once we implement design thinking. We're going to solve all our problems. All right. Not bad. Yes, it is indeed a myth. It is not a cure. It's actually a complement to your existing processes, existing policies, existing frameworks, and it can help you accelerate those processes, policies, and frameworks in order to make it more robust. And that is why we say that design thinking is more like a complement to all your organization problems. It's not really a replacement for anything. All right. Excellent. So it's Megha, Azza, Johnson, Priyanka, and Jaya in the top 5 positions at this point in time. All right, this is the third last question. The tough ones should come now. Innovation takes precedence over defining and refining the problem statement. I've heard this a lot. Design thinking is about innovation. Design thinking is about creativity. And you've got to be creative. You've got to have innovation in your kitty in order to become a great design thinker. Is it a myth or a fact? All right, so all those who believe it's a fact, it is not. People are going around and telling things that design thinking is all about innovation. And, we don't need to define the problem statement because we have to be creative. We have to come up with very new ideas in order to be design thinkers, but that is absolutely wrong. All right, defining and refining a problem statement is always a key. The way you define and refine the problem statement is different in design thinking rather than your typical critical thinking or rational thinking techniques, and or even problem solving techniques for that matter. So in design thinking, all the steps are equally important. All right, and that is what you should know per se. But Vikas is the fastest and moved up the ladder, but the top 5 are still the same. All right, second last question in this exciting quiz. Design thinking is mutually exclusive to other methodologies like Agile, Lean, Startup, Six Sigma, etc. So if you're using design thinking, you've got to use it separately. Agile, Lean, Startup, Six Sigma, you've got to use it separately. They're mutually exclusive. You can't really merge them together. All right, it is indeed a myth. As a matter of fact, I'm actually conducting one of the sessions for my clients right now, wherein I have merged the design thinking and Lean Six Sigma. So the first 4 steps are design thinking, and the 5th step, which is the testing phase, is actually using Six Sigma's DMAIC, out of which the MAI, which is measure, analyze, and improve, is being used over there. And we are finding amazing results when we are doing that. So it's not mutually exclusive to other methodologies. It will help you. You can merge these methodologies and you can see where to use design thinking, where to bring in Agile, where to bring in Six Sigma, and where to bring in the Lean startup piece per se. So like I said, it's more like a complement to your existing processes. It's not there to replace any processes per se. All right. So, all right. So the top five are Mega, Aza, Uma, Priyanka, and Johnson. All right. We're going to see now. This is the penultimate question. This is going to decide the fate. Design thinking is equal to fail fast, fail forward, contextualize, and deploy. So you got to fail fast, you got to fail forward, you got to contextualize and deploy. Is this what design thinking really is? We don't know. We'll figure it out in the next 3, 2, 1. Bang on, time's up. And yes, design thinking is about how fast you fail. The faster you fail, you understand that these are the things that you need to change. You fail forward so that you know what is the changes that you need to make. Then you contextualize and then bring in the deployment part in order to get design thinking up and running for your organization or for your own business or for your personal life. So the faster you fail, the better it is, because you will get an idea of how things function when it comes to design thinking. All right, we're going to see a change in the leaderboard. Yes, so it is Megha, Aza, Uma, Johnson, and Vikas who are in the top 5 positions. Extremely well played, people. Very, very well played. Congratulations on winning. You can share your email IDs in the chat box, and we will share with you your prizes or your surprise very, very shortly. All right. So congratulations to all the winners. Let me take the names of the winners again. It's Megha, Aza, Uma, Johnson, and Vikas. Vikas Garud. So that's how the leaderboard looks like. All right, that is awesome. Now, these are a few myths about design thinking that people have, and I wanted to start off with this because it's imperative for you to know that design thinking is not about what people are going around and just talking about things. It has much more to it. All right, much more to it. And let me give you an example of that. Let me start with my personal example, and then I'll take you to 3 or 5 case studies, which will give you a good idea of how people are implementing design thinking. And then, of course, we'll have questions. Now, around 3 years back, I weighed around 142 kgs, and I had this thing of I have to lose weight because I was getting back problems, neck problems, and ankle problems and all of that. So I went to a lot of people checking as to what should I do. They said, "Bro, why don't you go to Zumba? It's a fantastic piece. You must do Zumba." Some people said you must go on a diet, the vegan diet, the Virat Kohli, Anushka Sharma diet is a fantastic diet. You must go for that. And there's this GM diet and Falana Dhimkana diet, multiple diets. And some gym freak said, Pagal ho kya? You shouldn't do all this. You should go to the gym and burn your calories. I will help you or I'll become your personal trainer. And the first thing I thought about was, am I going to be able to sustain all these pieces? Now, we listen to motivational speakers. We go through nice movies and we are absolutely motivated. Way back, I saw Bhag Milkha Bhag. The next day, I started running. I ran for around 10 kilometers and then I could not walk for the next 7 days. So, motivation, it's not going to help you. It's not going to sustain. So, I went to a friend of mine who's my nutritionist, and I said that, I'm not going to do diets. I'm not going to do your exercises. I don't want to cut on my food because I am a foodie. And, I can't really cut on that. So can you tell me, how is it that I can go ahead and lose my weight? And she said, bro, you claim to be a design thinker, right? Now, of course, what's there to claim? I am a design thinker. So why don't you do an empathy interview with yourself? That was a fantastic idea because I never thought about it that I could use design thinking on myself. So I actually created my empathy map. And when I actually plotted the empathy map, what I realized over there is my problem was not losing weight. My problem was that I used to feel tired and sleepy during my sessions. So, मैं conduct कर रहा हूँ session, physical session, मैं दोपहर में conduct कर रहा हूँ, and I'm feeling sleepy, so I don't have the energy to actually go ahead and conduct those sessions. So if I were, 3 years back, I was on this online setup, I would be yawning at this point in time. And that is how tired I used to get. So I said, my problem statement is not about losing weight. My problem statement is about getting more energy. And that is where my entire life changed. I said, if my problem is energy, how might I get things, or how might I do things to generate more energy so that I don't sleep or I don't feel, drained out during my sessions. Slowly, I started realizing that if I start chunking my food into, 4 parts, if I start having warm water after every meal, and there are multiple things. उसके लिए personal coaching करेंगे हम. But there are multiple things that I did, and over the past 3 years, without exercising a lot, so without doing those crunches and abs and push-ups and all of that, I lost 38 kgs. Without that, without exercise, without any of these gym jam or artificial pieces that I did. It was a slow process. First 7, 8 months, I didn't see any change. I said that, this is not working for me. It's not just working for me. But I, being a design thinker, said, let me continue with this because I can only sustain this. There's no other thing that I can sustain. So the max I can sustain is, let's say, go for a walk or something like that, but nothing more than that. And slowly I started losing fat. And once I started losing fat, I started getting more energy, started putting more energy, and I started losing weight. It was absolute magic. Right now, I'm 104 kgs without doing any of this. And trust me, I cannot do whatever people suggest. So all I did was empathize, do my interview with myself, refine the problem statement, and innovate on things which I could not only do, but I could also sustain. And that is the beauty about design thinking. In design thinking, it's all about the user, it's all about the context. People will come, people will tell you what to do. People will give you a lot of gyan. And as a matter of fact, if you go to Facebook, there are so many 99 rupee ads that are going on. You will learn a lot from them. There is no harm in learning from them. But how is it, or what is it that you can sustain? What is it that you can take forward, and how is it that it can help you? Is something that design thinking can help you do in your personal and professional life. Now, this was a personal example. Let me take you through some company examples, which will help you to get a little more clarity on how design thinking functions. But before that, all of you who think that it's a step-by-step process, let's understand a little bit of a history of design thinking. This is not a new concept. It started way back in 1950. And after that, it was majorly meant for designers. And it came back in around 1965 when they said that, we are going to create something called as a systematic method for designers. So the entire focus of design thinking at that point in time was for designers. Then in about 1980, there was this book which is called The Reflective Practitioner. A very interesting book. If you can get your hands on it, it's a very, very nice book. This helped how design thinking could be implemented in business management. However, this is a very old book, so it may not give you a lot of insights on the VUCA environment, but it's a good book to reflect on. And in 1990, there was a company called IDEO. This was formed by merging 3 design labs. And these 3 design labs came together and said, we are going to change the face of innovation. We are not only going to make it famous in the US of A, but we are also going to make it famous across the world. And that is how the journey of design thinking actually started. And today, many organizations are adopting this methodology, and many organizations are benefiting from this particular methodology. When we talk about design thinking, this is how the actual process looks like. Now, this includes your step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever you call it. But this is the actual design thinking process, which starts with inspiration, moves to ideation, and then comes to implementation. So you start with your user interviews, you start with the research, you understand, you observe people. Then we create a point of view. This point of view helps you to refine your problem statements, which helps you to ideate, then create a prototype, which is a product prototype and a service prototype. A product prototype is an actual product. A service prototype is a framework. And this framework will help you to understand how you can pitch your service to the clients, which will help you to understand how is it functional. So if you are in the HR fraternity, you will be able to get a nice framework, a visual framework on how you can pitch your policies, processes, organization change to the management. If you're a freelancer, entrepreneur, business owner, you'll be able to pitch your services to your clients. If you're an SME, MSME startup, you want to change your products, you want to change your services, it can help you out. And even if you are in the teaching or the education fraternity, it will definitely help you. So this is a little bit about the design thinking process. Now, if I keep going in depth, We will make this a practitioner program. So let me quickly move to the case studies. Right. So the first case study is about a very interesting concept which was created by the Bank of America. Now, Bank of America, way back in around 2004, they adopted the design thinking methodology to boost their enrollment numbers. Now, in US, there is a problem of people saving money. They don't like saving money. They earn, they spend. That's their lifestyle. And there was a lot of problems then because people were going broke. People didn't understand as to, "Yeah, mera paisa ja kahan hai? Where is my money going?" And to inculcate the habit of saving, Bank of America came up with this very interesting philosophy. I'm going to show you that philosophy right here. Now, they went to all the users and they said, "We're going to change our user. Our users are not those people who are working in the corporates. Our users are those who are homemakers. These are the women who don't work. These are the women who actually know about saving money." Like I said, it's very important for you to define your user. So they defined the user, they went to all homemakers and said, "What will coax you to actually change the way you think about saving?" And they said, "I don't want to go to the bank and I don't want to tell them that please save my money. I am going to swipe my credit card, I'm going to swipe my debit card, and I am going to do whatever I want to." So they said, "Okay, fine." They innovated, they understood the problem statement saying people do not want to take the extra effort of going and saving money. That is the extra effort that they don't want to take. So what did they do? They said that, "Okay, we're going to do this. You swipe at a Walmart or a Target or any store. If your value comes to 3.7, so 370, they call it 370, that's $3.70. The 30 is going to be going to your savings account. So you will be debited for $4." And Americans are, "Okay, fine. Chiller hai, kya farak padta?" And they have this habit of tipping. They tip $1, $2, and like 30 cents is not a problem. So they started rounding off every transaction that they did, and the remainder of whatever was there went to their savings account. And you will be surprised with the numbers. In 2005, after they launched this, they attracted more than 2 million customers in less than a year. And in the next year, they got more than 12 billion customers because they said, "Oh, this is fantastic. This is an amazing piece." What changed for them? Innovation? No. Problem statement? No. The user changed for them. They said, "My user is not somebody who splurges money. My user is somebody who understands the value of savings." And this piece was called "Keep the Change." You can actually go to YouTube and check the video. It's a fantastic video. The idea of Keep the Change was basically to inculcate this habit, and it was a revelation. It was an absolute revelation, and people didn't know what to do. So design thinking not only helped them solve their problem, but it also helped them refine and define their user base. A typical problem solving would have been, why don't we go to the houses and tell them and we are going to launch schemes? We will say you will get cashback, you will get this, you will get that. Typical Indian style, cashback देंगे तो सब आएंगे. US doesn't work that way. And the way they changed the face, it became a case study for many, many organizations after that. So this was one of the case studies that I wanted to share with you. Let's look at another case study. And this is from the healthcare setup. Now there's an eye hospital called Rotterdam Eye Hospital. That's a very, very interesting case study, this. All right. Now, the thing was, this hospital was not really into profits. All right. And whenever you go into a hospital, you go to an eye hospital or any hospital, you get that smell, that distinct smell that, yeah, I am in a hospital now. You feel drowsy. You feel like, I'm going to get an infection now. My mom, my dad, my friends, they cannot recover in this place. I mean, how awful is this place? Unless you are in a 7-star hotel and you can afford it. All right. No, we can't. So we have to go to these hospitals. But when we go to these hospitals, you feel that, this is a very, very horrible kind of a setup. I don't really like this particular place. And what this particular hospital wanted to do was they wanted to change the way they actually perceive, or patients actually perceive, the hospital. They said, we are going to use design thinking for actually understanding how is it that we can turn our hospital into a showplace. We can actually attract customers to come here and say, this is not a hospital. This is a place where you can transform yourself. Listen to the words very carefully. This is not a hospital. This is a place wherein you can come and just transform yourself. And you will not believe it that once they implemented this design thinking, they actually won the Dutch Design Award and the patient intake rose 47%. So, what was the primary goal? They wanted to reduce the patient's fears. Doctors wanted to understand how their patients feel when they entered the hospital and what could be done to improve their experience. Now, apart from the patients, they also interviewed their relatives and said, "What do you not like about coming to the hospital?" Right now, of course, because your loved one is there, you want to go to the hospital and check what is happening, what is not happening. The problem statement, and we use this technique called "How might we?" All right, so how might we create a feeling of community within the hospital premises to eliminate the patient's fears? This is what they did, and they created a culture program called I Care. Now here, they said, how could patients, how will we openly talk to patients, doctors, colleagues? How do we talk about, triggering panic? They created something called as iPad. So it's not your Apple iPad, but it's the Aankh wala pad, the iPad. This helps the patient's relatives to track everything from their doorstep. घर पे बैठे बैठे, they knew exactly what to do. They knew what is happening with the patient. They knew what is going on. And in case they are required, they had a live camera setup which used to tell them or give them a live feed on what is happening and what is not happening. So this was the beauty. They came up with this innovation, and the patient's relatives have actually told them, I can't reveal the entire piece, but they actually told them that we don't like coming and sitting in the waiting area. We are definitely going to catch an infection because all these are infectious diseases. So how do you keep them away and give them an idea of tracking the space? All right. Now the result is they can actually conduct 95% of all procedures without an overnight stay. So the patient knows exactly what is to be done. There are videos which tell them all these pieces, and now it scores a 8.6 out of 10 on its customer satisfaction surveys. So what they did is not only did they create an application for the visitors, but also for the patients, which can help them to track. Because the biggest fear of for them was one, I will catch infection. Two, I want to sit at home. I want to have my cup of tea, and I want to know what is happening with my person. And I am maybe at work. I don't have to take leave, and that is where you are, getting your payments. That is the beauty about design thinking. Let me give you another case study. Today is all about case studies. I'm not going to, give you gyan. All right. Now, when you look at Ericsson, all right, Ericsson focused on saying how much we evoke the entrepreneurial spirit in our employees. They wanted to create a culture of or a culture shift in the organization. So they conducted, their interviews with employees, and they wanted to restructure the way that things were working. And Ericsson succeeded a lot because they created a platform called Innova. And this Innova helped them to understand that how is it that the people are thinking. Once they put their ideas, they started actually, promoting and funding those ideas. Saying you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to start your own business. We are here to actually fund your business. You have an idea, give it to us. We fund you. You become an entrepreneur within the organization. So how do you bring in that spirit? Is by asking the employees, saying, what is it that was making them, what is it that is making them think that, this is not a place for entrepreneurship? They conducted this, they created their empathy maps, and voila, this is what they got out of this entire piece. Now I'm going to show you a very interesting empathy map. All right. And I'm rushing because Dr. Jory will kill me if I do not finish this on time. Let me go ahead and give you this particular example, because this is a live case study. Now I cannot take the name of this client because it's they've refused, but they said that you can share your practice. This is an empathy map that I created, a very simple empathy map. All right. And people must be wondering, "Arey yaar, free mein itna gyan mil raha hai, ye sab Google pe available." There's nothing which I'm giving over here which may not be available on Google. I'm giving you an insight on how is it that we train practitioners and we make you practitioners. That's what you need to think about. When you look at all of this, the company called me for, we want to train our sales team on product selling. They don't know how to sell the product. Now, when I went and interviewed the sales people, and of course, I'm also I've been a salesman in the past. So when I interviewed them, I understood they have 15 plus years of experience in selling. They know their product in and out. They know their customer in and out. So why do they need sales training? What new will I tell them? Do I tell them that, do I go with a motivational speech and, trigger that, jazba and that passion in them and ignite the fire? Think, aaj tumko sales karna hai, 500 sales karke aana. I can't do that. That will not give you a great feeling. So what we said is, once we created the how, once I did the how my empathy interviews with them, we said we are not going to do a training. We're going to do an intervention, and this intervention is about the mindset of the team. Product knowledge hai, the product knowledge is there, the experience is there, everything is there. But if you look at the empathy map, we are trying to change the mindset by saying, how is it that you understand your product differently? How is it that you pitch your product differently? And how is it that you can understand that what the customer is looking out for may not be what you are selling? And that changed the way things happen. This is where we created a 3-month intervention. And in the 3-month intervention, I said, I'm not going to give any gyan because there's no point of giving gyan. What we will do is I will handhold them through a certification program. We're going to make each and every person a design thinker. There were around 25 people in that startup. And when I'm going to make them a design thinker, I'm going to give them the tools. I'm going to give them the methodologies. And these tools and methodologies are from Stanford, IDEO, Harvard, and MIT. All right. So that is what I gave them literally. We tweaked it to their organization and we said, now apply it, come back with a real-time example, and I'm going to handhold you through this entire process. So when you become a practitioner, let's say if you subscribe to let's say Dr. Jory's practitioner program with me, you will understand not only will you get the tools, which is it's a part and parcel. Not only will you get your workbooks, but you will also understand how is it that I can apply it in different scenarios. And that is the beauty of this entire practitioner program. There is no gyan. There is nothing to give you in terms of gyan. Uske liye Google hai, all right, or Bing bhi hai. All right. So what was the result? Let me show you the result over here. The sales improved by 23% year on year. And this is where they gave me 2 more projects saying, you know what? We understand your methodology of training. You are a no-nonsense person. Come and help us with other programs. And they said, we love this design thinking practitioner program. We are going to go ahead with this. And if you want to see testimonials, you can please go to my website, www.romasolutions.in, and you will see some testimonials over there. I don't want to really bore you with testimonials. The net promoter score increased from 4 on 10 to 7.8 on 10 in 1 year. And this is a huge shift. If you understand the concept of NPS, it is a huge shift. And this was done with more number of customers. So initially, NPS used to be done with around 200 customers of theirs. Now we did it with around 375 customers of theirs, and that is how, because they do it globally. So that is how we got this NPS. And this is the major piece. The ESAT index, which is a mix of your 360-degree feedback and your employee satisfaction score, increased from 72 to 95%. This is my win. And why this is my win is not only did I help them to understand the concept, but they could contextualize it for them. And when this came to me, and when I got a call saying, you know what, good, this is what it is, I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled, saying, no, it was feeling like a मेरी company है और मैंने इसको आगे बढ़ाया, मैंने sell किया इस product को. The beauty of this methodology is such that you will get such results. And I'm going to give you the last case study. And this is about how do teachers use design thinking. So teachers said that how much we use design thinking as a tool for student learning. And they said that, you know what, how is it that we can implement this in the education field? And so meanwhile, I would request you, if you have any questions, you can please put it in the chat box, so that once I finish this, we are going to be taking up questions with Dr. Jory's permission, of course. All right. So the team came up with an acronym called DEEP. So that they said that we're going to tweak the design thinking methodology. We're going to do discover, experiment, empathize, and we're going to produce. In the discover phase, they said that we're going to have our students understand, interview experts, watch videos about the problem, and see how is it that the students understand the problem. So it's not a teacher's perspective, it's not the management perspective, it is the student's perspective. And this is where things changed. Because in the empathy phase, everyone focused on saying, students, now brainstorm a list of all the problems that you see in your communities, in your environment, and come up with all those problems. Once you come up with those problems, we will help you to brainstorm. And this is where, in the experiment phase, they were able to generate a lot of ideas. And students actually went and interviewed people. And people were thrilled because in the community, they were like, yeah, these are kids. You know, these kids are going to come and help us. And if they're going to come and help us, we might as well give them what they want. And the students actually implemented design thinking by actually understanding how is it that they can go ahead and implement design thinking in their specific lives. All right. So these were few of the case studies. So to summarize everything that I've told you today, number one, the user is of utmost importance. You change your user, your problem statement will change. Once your problem statement changes, your ideas will change and it will bring a revolution. Two, once you've defined the problem statement, it is not just enough to define the problem statement. It is necessary to refine that problem statement. And then you refine the problem statement, you go in depth and you understand what could be the actual underlying problem, which could really, get me my results. And it is not root cause analysis. It's very, very different from a root cause analysis. Then we innovate using tools, frameworks, methodologies, and we come up with contextual ideas on how we can implement this in the short term, mid-term, and the long term. We then create a prototype. If it's a product prototype. It's a service prototype. And then we test it using your design research frameworks. And once we test it, we know we get users' feedback, rework on it, and give it back to the user. All right. So this is something that I give. First, let me apologize to Dr. Jory that I took a little more time, but I just thought that, because both of us believe in value addition, I wanted to give these case studies, which, by the way, my dear friends, I give in a paid session. So this is something that I thought I should give you because Dr. Jory believes in giving back to the community, and I resonate with that particular thought. So this is what I had to give you. And this is a little bit about how you can connect with me. And with Dr. Jory's permission, I can now take questions.
Bruhad, that was wonderful. It was so mesmerizing that even though I wanted to do my duty of telling you about the time, I never could muster up enough courage to stop you. It was the flow was so much, and we were so engrossed. Thank you so much for that. We have two questions. One is from Sudevan KJ. He says, I'll read out the question. Can you please explain HMW once more?
Sure. So see, HMW stands for how might we? And what we do is when we refine the problem statement, we go back and we do a lot of in-depth understanding. So there are some rules to how might we, which of course I won't tell you here because that's for the practitioners to know. But if you want to know a little bit more about how might we, it's more about understanding how you can separate your biases from your problem statement. For example, if you are looking at, let's say, uh, so designing a product or designing a service, all right? Or let's say, let's say an ice cream. Let's take ice cream for example. Now, when you take ice cream for example, you can't carry the ice cream everywhere, of course, because it pickles up, it melts. So, a typical problem statement would be, let's redesign the ice cream cone so that people can, carry it everywhere. But did I say that I want to have ice cream in a cone? I never said I want to have ice cream in a cone. I said I want to have ice cream everywhere. So instead of redesigning the cone, we're going to redesign the way ice cream is actually, presented to the user. It can be in a box, it can be in between sandwiches, it can be anything. But how might we make? We say we are not going to go biased by saying that people eat ice cream in a cone, and that is how you refine that problem statement per se.